Alright everybody, welcome back to HARUNA. Today we have something new. Today is episode 12? Yeah, episode 12. And it's been a bit longer than I would like between episodes. But that is for good reason, because we got a lot done. So, as you have seen from the intro, as well as the title of the video and the thumbnail, we added a new coaster and completely expanded the park. So, let's get into it. Alright, so now we're going to start off here. What I've done is add some maintenance roads. So this is a bit unrealistic, and you know, when I started this park, I did not place the infrastructure down for these maintenance roads because it wasn't even a thought in my mind. I think I was like, what, 15, 16 years, something like that. Like, I had no idea about adding any of this infrastructure for extra realism, so making it unrealistic, tunneling through the mountains, I've gone ahead and added it anyway. So this maintenance road leads directly to the other side of the main street. So this is the empty area that I hadn't added anything to. So we've got some nice trash bins, a new ride, which I'll get to, and the gate. So this is supposed to be closed, but I left it like kind of creaked open just because it looks more lived in. So this is the queue that we made in episode 2, I believe. So we're right up alongside the first flat ride area. And we've got the queue for Tempest. We added the ride sign to this side. And another thing you'll notice is we have completely revamped this side of the main street. So the building I originally made, I was just freestyling, and looking back at it, I decided that building wasn't worthy of being on the main street, so I deleted that and made a new one. And, well, 2 new ones actually, on the side. And they are in the same style as these buildings here. The very, I guess, black and tan French style Main Street buildings. So here's the new updated building. Same queue. And then here's a new building right next to it. We've got a Chief Beef vendor. Moving on, across the street, we've got a little update. So, right now we've got this path finally dressed up across to the bridge, but before we get there, we've got a new flat ride. And this one is the Aeronauts balloon ride, and I've called it the Argo. And here's the logo. Argo being a reference to the Argonauts, and I know that's a story in Greek mythology, I believe, but who cares? it's not that deep. Here's the queue. It's pretty similar to the rest, just got decent landscaping, kind of spam plants everywhere. Instead of adding the stereotypical wall, I added rocks underneath the path instead, just to make it make sense being on this hill. It's a bit more rocky. And the same for the exit queue. And then the ride itself, I've dressed it up a little bit. I've added these sort of shade things. And then just some heavy duty fencing to make sure people can't get into, I don't want to spoil the rest of the video, but make sure people don't get into this crazy deep ravine. We'll head down the exit queue, and then it just goes right alongside this building, which has got a little unique design. It's got this rounded corner. I had to make these walls using the inverted window piece. And yeah, it's just another building in the French style, but it's got a really weird shape and a really large porch. And I didn't know what to do here, so I just added some clutter. Alright, and now we're getting into the Japan section. So, I know I said we finished the Italian section last episode, which we did, but I had to do some cleaning up work. So between this area and the new area, I had to make the transition feel a bit better and more refined. So here's that empty space from last episode, completely filled in. Got a nice ravine going along the side. And here we have the train updated now. So instead of going straight and up, it kind of curves to the left now. And it's a little steep, but the train does get up it, so I'm just gonna leave it. I'm not too concerned about realism here. And then here's the rest of the area by the entrance of the train station. So I've got this divider between the two ravines, and this just serves to have a reason for my water level to go from here to a bit lower. Because as you'll see, this level of water continues to the entrance area of Japan. And I added some sort of sewer grates on this wall on either side to make it, I guess, believable that the water can be on both sides. Following the path to the Japan area, we have an Italian flag and a Japanese flag, symbolizing like, hey, we are going to switch up worlds or lands here. So crossing this bridge should then mean, oh, we are now in a completely new world. So we'll enter, and immediately we have a switch up. Originally, I was going to have this long empty path from the bridge all the way until the new area, but I realized it was way too much wasted space, so I decided to narrow or flatten out some areas and make some resting spots. So first is this area on the right side. We've got this nice fenced in area where people can sit and hide from the shade because it is a long uncovered path. And we threw in the lantern lights as well as this newer Japanese style architecture wall. And this is something I spammed on the other side as well and tried to sort of replicate the feeling of a Japanese garden, but I'm gonna have actual like proper gardens further in the park. This is just like a sort of taste, sort of to introduce the idea but not totally commit to it. And the further we get into the Japan section, the further these types of things will be implemented into the park. Well, immediately you can notice the types of vegetation changing. I've got a lot more reds and pinks, and using more of these trees and these plants, I find it really adds to the whole oriental look. And now we're approaching the star of the episode, the MACK Rides Stryker coaster. So if we go to the layout, from the start, we're just in the station. It turns into an outer banked right-hand turn into a JoJo roll. This outer bank turn into roll was inspired by Hyperia, except that one was on a massive scale on the top of a hill. This one just leads into a block break, which I'm probably gonna have some type of pre-show, right? And then enters this holding break where it waits for a few seconds. Maybe we'll have sound effects and fire or screens displaying like movies or whatever. And then it'll get launched up into the sort of the vertical launch. I wanted to have a beyond vertical launch, but Planet Coaster did not allow that. So we just have a vertical launch. And this goes upwards into an Immelman, a high-speed outer bank turn, a very large camelback. I guess this would be a wing over drop. Next we have a small high-speed floater airtime hill. And then coming back this way we have our stall. As it turns slightly to the left into another high-speed
hill. And we have a overbanked turn into a wave turn before bottoming out and entering a ejector hill that banks to the left, and then a quick S-bend right into the halfway section of the ride. Here we have the next block section and holding launch. And this launches into a dive loop where the train gets a lot of hang time, immediately into a large corkscrew, which kind of angles and sends the train this way instead of straight ahead. Then we have an ejector hill into a right hand turn, a helix up into the mid-course brake run, which shouldn't take too much speed off the train before diving down into another ejector hill, which dives down to the right again, entering the lowest point on the coaster. Next we have an overbanked turn that also hits a small ejector hill before diving left into the final corkscrew, which goes over the exit queue into a small airtime hump into the brake run.
Another thing about this coaster, it's got a section here that's supposed to be for a vertical spike, but you know, that's not possible in this game, and it will be possible in Planet Coaster 2, so I'm pretty excited for that. But I've got the switch track here just in spirit, you know, you can imagine it actually working. I'll add some rails so it's like the track switches up this way so it can backwards launch up the spike and then go straight and then switches back over to allow this car to come in. And this is kind of inspired by Pantheon, but also Tutatis as well. So very intimate inspired. Another thing I took from Voltron was the, I guess, non-standard transfer track section. So if we follow this track here, we reach the train storage / train maintenance area under the station. So usually, you know, these sections would be, the transfer track would be behind, and there is enough space for me to put it back here, but I felt this building was already going to be massive. I didn't want to add another big shed on this side. So now we're going to keep the trains underneath the station, and there is enough clearance underneath this path. The trains are about this tall, so more than enough space. That's kind of my thinking here, because Voltron's, you know, their storage spaces at the roundabout table where the car switches track. And I thought that was pretty ingenious, and I wanted to do something similar since this was so close to the station. And you can see the inspiration by Voltron. I mean, this coaster is massive. It is about 4,800 feet long, almost the length of 2 full-size roller coasters. And it's got enough block sections for about 7 trains, but I'm only gonna run 4 because I found that's the sweet spot. I could run more if I had some type of block break in this beginning section, but I don't. So the largest block is between this launch and this launch, but besides that, there's like another break here, so I didn't want to squeeze a MCBR over here because it just ruined the pacing. So I'm okay with 4 trains and weaker operations because I want this queue to be like full to max. Like I want this queue to be super full because this area is going to be super dressed up and nice, so it'll look good with a bunch of people in the line. And speaking of the queue, I want an entrance here, so this could be a hole or a tunnel through here We'll head through, staircase down. Should be nicely landscaped. Right up next to the coaster. I think this is too close, so I'm going to move it over a little bit. But here's the beginning of the queue. Then goes over here. This should all be inside a building. I think the building will go out to here. It'll be a massive building. So this will all be indoors. It'll go back outdoors a little bit before heading up some stairs and back into the building. And then this is my favorite part. It goes right up next to the launch section. So while you're waiting in line, maybe I'll have glass, or maybe I'll have just a wall or something. I don't know. But you're gonna be able to see the coaster launch right up close from behind a wall. So that'll be cool. It heads back down and goes under the station for finally climbing up and reaching the top. And then the exit queue just takes you over the beginning. There is enough clearance, more than enough clearance. Through this corkscrew, and then it'll head right back into the pavilion, kind of right next to where you started. And then in between those, I want to have like a locker situation, like Velocicoaster. So it's all just super well contained in this area. And then we'll have a bunch of stalls on this side and just have seating. It'll be a nice kind of enclosed area. And this will all be themed, and there'll be a huge Japanese monastery station here. So it'll look better than this. I've only done the custom supporting and the scenery for this part right here, just so I could show you guys kind of the vibe I was going for. And one of my favorite things to do with MACK rides coasters is sort of play around with the supporting system, because they are known to have some of the most unique and fun supports, I think, on any coaster type or from any ride manufacturer. I think who rivals them, maybe Rocky Mountain Construction with their kind of steel frame supports that they sometimes use on their hybrid coasters. And I really just wanted to play with the supports, so that's why it looks like a jungle gym over here. This camelback, it's got some of my favorite supporting I think I've ever done. It just looks totally believable as a MACK rides coaster. And they like to have this sort of like kind of spine following underneath the track, along with having their thicker track or thicker spine at the bottom. And I don't have any DLCs for this game, so that's why I didn't use that pre-game, or that's why I didn't use that MACK rides built-in coaster type. So yeah. And this part of the ride goes over water, so, and because of that, I wanted to have as few supports in the water and as few footers. So that's why you see I've got these huge structures, and then the rest of it is all sort of connected like this. And because of this, I was able to have, you know, this whole first hill fully supported by just two supports, one on either side. So then you've got this long spine that goes connecting the ride. And then similar to Voltron Nevera, which is what this ride was heavily inspired by, we've got these sort of frames around the track to sort of act as nets to protect from the roller coasters from dropping things underneath onto the people below. And there aren't net pieces in the game, and I also don't have any Theme Maker's Toolkit items. I wanted this part to be completely vanilla, by the way. So I've just got empty frames, and I think it's okay to just have them empty like this. Like, you can tell what it's supposed to be. And I've also added these effect pieces, so they kind of look like wireframes in that sense. But as the coaster crosses over the hill, you might be able to see that they activate. So we're getting a launch right now. And we'll check out the theming. as the coaster goes across. Then the fire turns on, enters that big floater airtime hill. Overall, really happy with the profiling of this beginning section. But I think I've iterated certain elements in the profiling and the shaping maybe 200 times. Like, it's been completely ridiculous, an absolute time sink that I've spent on this coaster, and I'm still not 100% happy with it. I know the shaping on this is a bit, or it could be a little bit better. I think I could kind of heartline it a little bit more for the speed that it enters the element at, and also smoothen out this part. But it's also a bit janky, which I like. Not janky, it's a bit whippy, as you'll see. Kind of just jerks. I like the fire effects. Here's what I did. I just threw these inside the ventilation pipe pieces. And another thing, as the train passes over the stall, these electricity things also fire off, which we'll see right now. Got a bit of onboard audio. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with that yet. Another thing you'll notice is the maintenance road. So from where we started, it goes into this mountain and it comes around this side. And boy, let me tell you, man, this, if you ever tried to make any gradual sort of inclining path in this game, man, the path system, I sincerely hope in Planet Coaster 2 that the pathing is worked out, because this was such a nightmare to make. So yeah, anyway, I've got this maintenance road that goes underneath this entire area and comes out on the other side. So go ahead and, oh, got a tree root. Head through the tunnel, comes out the other side, and now we're right up next to the coaster. And this part can be seen from the other side of the park, so that's why I changed from this standard type of fencing to the Japanese wall fencing that we made and used for the other area. So we've got this nice humongous turnaround because this corner is pretty tight, so I wanted a working truck to actually be able to kind of take a wider turn and have the whole trailer actually fit down here as it comes down into the area. Then we got some more fencing. I'm probably going to change this out too for the Japanese fencing, as it can probably be seen from the queue. I haven't decided yet, and I also haven't decided what I'm going to do with the waterfront. But from our previous area, Safiro Square, here's what I've done with this wall. So I just turned it completely into a natural retaining wall right up next to the neighborhood. Also fenced off this area between the train tracks, so now it's complete. So if you can imagine, when this is all custom supported up, it'll look very good shooting up out of the Japanese monastery station building. So let's go into the coaster a bit more. So you'll see all of these building shells. They're just blank buildings. I just placed them around because I wanted to get a feel of the sense of scale and get an idea for the feeling of how this coaster is going to be. I wanted it to kind of shoot through a village, so that's why I've got buildings all around, especially this area. It's kind of like a town square that the ride is shooting through. This is kind of like an alleyway through buildings, a large kind of section here. Up and around, there's a small river, as well as the waterfront. And then on the coastal part, I wanted to put a sort of fishing village. A lot of this area was inspired by the game Nioh, or Nioh? Nioh? Nioh. If you guys ever heard of that game. If you like Dark Souls games, I would highly recommend it. It's probably one of my favorite games I've ever played. So this will be sort of the jungle, then like a fishing village, or this will be jungle as well, then fishing village, kind of monastery, town with an alley, kind of a dock here, and then this pavilion here, I kind of want it to look like the Grand Pavilion sort of in Six Flags Great America, where it's like right across from X-Flight. It's like this huge area. It's just got a bunch of restaurants, and then it's a huge covered pavilion with loads of seating. It's kind of the main area where you eat at this park. This is maybe like 95% the final layout. I've just got to get some more shaping fixed. And this element right here, this airtime hill, it's a bit steep. I think it pulls negative like 1.2 or 1.3 Gs, which is really harsh. This is the most ejector airtime on the entire ride. Okay, everyone, that's pretty much it, I believe. We filled in this space from here. The coaster's not done here, so we'll say from this path to around here. So we sort of just kind of filled in this gap here and added the coaster. So next episode we should have at least the coaster section done, the station, maybe the waterfront, as well as the pavilion, and then we can work further into the Japanese city after that. If you made it to this part of the video, I want to remind you to drop a like if you enjoyed your time here, and if you'd like to catch the next one, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell to get notified on when the next episode does come out. Also, be sure to stick around for the POV. But aside from that, that's all from me, friends. I hope you enjoyed, so take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.